This episode of Rick and Rick Rule the World is brought to you by Taskin, the first name in premium quality travel gear, with slim, stylish gear like the Taskin Edge professional laptop backpack for business and travel. Order now at taskinsf.com. All right, so remember when we did that snippet about Wonder Woman 1984 and we were kind of going through the trailer about what does this stuff mean? Well, I came across this, I think it was a video that walked through a leak about the movie. And so if you want to hear, it's super spoilerish. I mean, if you want to be completely fresh going into Wonder Woman 1984, don't listen to the rest of this little pod of our podcast. But remember in the trailer, we see that Diana is living in the United States now. We see that Maxwell Lord, played by Pedro Pascal, which I believe is the actor in The Mandalorian, he has come across this crystal that the characters in the movie come to realize makes wishes come true. So I believe this crystal is found and it's brought to the museum where Diana works, and she has no idea what it is, so they call in an expert who is the archaeologist Barbara Ann Minerva, who ultimately becomes the Cheetah. So what happens is someone there, when they're first looking at the crystal, just makes a comment like, God, I wish I had a cup of coffee right now. Goes around a corner and all of a sudden someone's got a whole thing of coffee and spills some of it, but he gets his coffee. I think they joke about how, oh, well, maybe the wishes come true. Well, they all start to realize the wishes come true. And Diana wishes, obviously, for Steve Trevor to come back. Well, I mentioned that Patty Jenkins, the director, has said that this really is Steve Trevor, but it's not quite as it seems in the trailer. What happens, at least according to this leak, is that when Diana makes that wish, Steve Trevor is somehow, his soul or whatever, is placed into someone else's body. And that person comes to this big gala event that Diana's at and is trying to break in or whatever, finally approaches her and she's like, I don't know you. And then he says that bit that only the two of them would know, which was the whole bit about, I can save today, you can save the world. And then all of a sudden she sees him for who he is. I don't know if she's actually seeing him, but we, the audience, see that it's Chris Pine's character.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so what happens is she's wished this. Diana has Steve back, but she starts to realize that she's starting to lose some of her power. She gets hurt. And then she really starts to lose some of her powers, which is why she's not flying in this. That's why she's using the lasso to get around in the trailer.
Interesting.
Yes. And Barbara Ann, she's clumsy and whatnot. And they seem to hint that they're lovers. I think in the comics, she and Diana were lovers, but I'm not totally sure of that. But Diana has Steve back. I don't know if Barbara Ann is jealous about that, but I think she wishes, when she realizes she can wish, that she won't be so clumsy, that she'll be as sophisticated as Diana. And that's where that scene is. She comes into a party and all those people, notice her. Maxwell Lord steals the crystal from her and he realizes you don't have to be in proximity with this crystal. I think you need to be within its, sphere of influence, its waves or whatever. And so I think that's why we see that transmission tower, that he's going to broadcast this around the world, promising folks that they can get whatever they want. And I've heard Patty Jenkins say this a number of times. This movie's set in 1984 for a reason. And in Patty Jenkins' mind, she views that time period as the apex of Western civilization. And what she says is, this was a time when if you wanted it, you could get it. We just didn't all know that we were going to pay a price for it in terms of geopolitics, in terms of the environment, in terms of everything else. We didn't know that we were going to be paying for it. And that appears to be the whole theme here. Diana didn't realize when she makes this wish that she's going to pay for it. And everyone in this movie starts to pay for the wish. Minerva, however it happens, becomes Cheetah. And she is crazy and goes after Diana. Now, in the comics, Cheetah's claws are strong enough to pierce Superman's skin. That's how powerful they are. Well, Diana, in her weakened state, that's why we see the golden armor that she wears in the trailer. She needs it to protect herself from Cheetah because she is not at full strength. And the scenes that we see where it's like a wall in the Middle East and sort of action scene on this road, Maxwell Lord is somehow doing something in the Middle East that Diana has to stop. In order to save the world, Diana realizes she's going to have to recant her wish. And so she must say goodbye to Steve Trevor a second time, which we know Steve Trevor would understand, but still tragic. Twice now she's had to lose him. And so she has to recant the wish to get her powers back in order to save the world. So if any of that bears out, I think it's going to be a fantastic movie that does seem to jive with what we see in that trailer. But now I'm even more excited about seeing it.
Yeah, I agree with you for the most part, but it is a little bit odd that, it's almost like an Aladdin kind of storyline, right? Where there's a wish involved and all that. But, like you said, let's see what actually comes out of it.
Yeah, whoever leaked this out, if it's anywhere as good as that storyline, I think it could be really, really good.
That actually sounds really good.